Welcome. In front of me is an Infinix Note 30 5G, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So let's just get straight into it. Okay, so now that we got a look at what's in the box, let's quickly turn it on. There we go. So the box is actually chock full of different things. So we have a plastic case, obviously the phone, then we got a plastic screen protector. So this isn't tempered glass, this is just plastic, but it's very thick, so it is quite rigid. Then we get a charging cable type A to type C, a 45 watt charger, pretty big in size for just 45 watts, but it's nice that it's included in the box. And we get also headphones with a typical headphone jack. Now they are wired obviously, so it's kind of meh at this point, but alright, we do have a headphone jack at the bottom of the device along with some grime already on it. That's delightful. So yeah, so let's talk about the device itself. And starting off, I'm going to begin with the display. So this is a 6.78 inch display, 1080p by 2460 pixels. It's an LCD IPS display with 120 Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness of 580 nits. It also boasts an 84.7% screen to body ratio with 396 pixels per inch. So the display is, I would say, arguably okay. It's nice that it has 120 Hz refresh rate, so that will make it, when you're scrolling up and down, it will be nice and smooth. Now moving on to the back, we have a triple camera setup, though just by the look of it, the two bottom ones are absolute garbage. Interestingly enough, it only shows two cameras at the back in terms of what's listed. So there's a possibility that one of those is just a prop. Great choice there, I guess. Anyway, the main sensor is actually pretty okay. It's a 108 megapixels wide sensor f1.7, and then 2 megapixel depth sensors under that. I'm not exactly sure which one it is because one of them is a fake. So yeah. Now, moving on to the front camera, we have a 16 megapixel wide sensor. Now with the back one, you can shoot at 1440p 30 frames, 1080p 30 or 60, and at the front 1080p only 30. Now, that being said, let's move over to the internals, and this device comes with a Dimensity 6080 processor, which I believe will be equivalent to something like a Snapdragon 666 something. I don't exactly recall what they have there, but it's at a lower end of mid-range processors. So it should perform pretty well. Obviously, you won't be playing Genshin Impact on highest settings. You can forget about that one. But it should deal with most of the things that you throw at it. Now, the interesting thing nowadays is most of the processors nowadays, even like the slower ones, like the lower end ones, outside of just the very budget ones, very budget phones itself, because budget phones and budget processors are not the same thing. And for instance, 2023 you can have a budget phone that comes with an outdated processor from like a couple years back. So just saying, budget processors and devices nowadays that have been released in like a year or two are now all basically all good. They all tend to give you a decent user experience. You don't have phones that really chug that hard. So when it comes down to cheaper devices like this one, it obviously will perform just fine. Now, moving on into the internals, we also have a 5000 mAh battery. Now that being said, it seems a little bit small considering this device's size. Like, this is an absolute unit, and phones that are significantly smaller than this manage to have a 5000 mAh battery. This phone is huge, and yet it has basically the same one. For a phone this size, I would probably expect something like a 6000 milliamp hour battery, to be honest. Maybe something like 5500, something between those lines, but at significantly higher capacity than 5000. Now moving on, this device comes in two different variants. We have the lowest end, which is 128 gigabytes of built-in storage with 4 gigs of RAM, and then 256 gigs of storage with 8 gigs of RAM. Now when it comes down to it, I would recommend going for the higher one, the 256-8. Not because of the storage, but primarily because of the RAM that comes with it. So 8 gigs of RAM will be significantly better for just using the device and just running through apps and having them just feel like they're a little bit faster, snappier, rather than the 4 gigabytes of RAM. 4 gigabytes might be a little bit low for devices nowadays, especially running Android 13, which this one is. So that's why I recommend, when you're picking this device up, to go with the higher end model. And also it includes a higher amount of storage with 256, which is also a benefit. Now that being said, I presume we might have expandable storage. Let's see. Indeed we do. So we do have expandable storage. So if you really want to skimp out on the RAM, which I wouldn't recommend, you could, and if you need more than 128 gigs of storage, you can just pop in an SD card and still have space for 2 dedicated SD cards, other way around, 2 SIM cards and 1 SD card. So we have dedicated spots for the SIMs and 1 dedicated spot for the SD. So there we go. Pretty nice expandability right here. Okay. And moving on to just last couple of things, let's mention we do have a fingerprint sensor that doubles as a power button, and in this aluminum chamfered edges, where they look pretty nice, to be completely honest. We also have a little bit of a sound right here, sound by JBL. If I can catch, there we go, a sound by JBL. And now when you see those, don't expect too much. I don't even want to test this, to be honest, because I'm pretty certain what this will sound like, and it won't be anything super special. And then at the back we have, it looks like glass back actually, which is surprising. Now on the spec list, it says that we have a plastic frame, although this could be actually plastic. Yep, that's plastic. So it looks like aluminum frame, but it's actually just plastic. They got me there. So that's plastic, and then we also have either glass or leather back, though this is plastic too, I presume. Nope, never mind, that's not plastic. So yeah, glass back, and like I said, you can also have a leather back, which this one is not, as you can clearly see. So there we go. Now last thing that what the heck is this? Are you kidding me? Now I understand being proud of collaboration with the JBL, but this is no bueno. Just saying. But anyway, in case, I'm just gonna pop it on here just so you can see how that looks like. It fits nice and tight on it, and adds a little bit of protection to your device. Also covers the bump right here, giving a little bit of protection to the lenses right here on the camera, so that's pretty nice. So there we go. One last thing that I'm going to add with the screen protector, there is already one actually pre-applied, a little bit of a thinner plastic one. This one seems a little bit more rugged, though actually this could be actually, I'm not exactly sure if this is glass or not. It feels like plastic. It's a little bit too bendy to be glass, but in any case, this is significantly thicker compared to the thing that comes already pre-applied on the phone. So there we go. That's basically the entire package of this for this device, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.